Okay, we are recording. All right. Hi, this is Sharra. Hi, Sharra.
Hey
You all know
Nathan,
her.
how are you? Yep.
And we are also talking to Tyler. Taylor. Hey, Taylor.
Hi.
So the reason we're doing this is because we love stories of people coming to faith in Jesus. They're the lifeblood. They keep us excited and motivated because that's what we're meant to be about as the church, seeing more and more people come to know, love, and follow Jesus. And so this has happened recently for Taylor. Can I just, on the outset, how recently, Taylor, did this?
Last year, probably
Last year?
around maybe, oh my goodness, the end of last year, but really strongly the start of this year.
Yeah, well, that's
Yep.
still so soon, isn't it? Like, that's not long at all. And we celebrate with you, honestly. It's just exciting. Even if we stopped the recording here, people would be encouraged by this because they need to see people coming to faith. But all right, well, so this is all really recent. How did you even come to start exploring this?
Yeah, so I met my now fiance, who was Christian, and I was decidedly not. I never ruled out God, but I just knew you couldn't define it. You know, I didn't think that anyone could say definitively either way exists.
So can I drill down there just a little quickly?
Yes.
So what, before you met him, the word Christian, what did that evoke for you?
A little bit kooky, a little bit out there. You know, don't believe in science and stuff like that, which
The
was
kooky out there
a
bit is completely true,
misconception.
by the way.
No, complete
We
misconception on my behalf. But yeah, so I just saw very anti-science, very, I guess, anti-logic as well. Yeah.
Yeah, started dating. Can we get, what's his name?
Daniel.
Daniel, and congratulations on getting
thank you.
engaged to Daniel.
Thank you.
So, you know, so that was kind of your introduction. And so, how did you start to kind of, I guess, have your perceptions change about Jesus and explore him? How did that sort of happen?
Through Daniel. So everything that I believed in, he very, not defensively at all, very lovingly and openly just disagreed with me, but took the time to, I guess, to share both our views in a very respectful way, which is not something that I've experienced, I guess, with people of faith. My impression, and it's funny because it's ironic because I was that way, I guess, to Christians in the past, was that they were very, I guess, stuck standard in their belief and unwavering and unwilling to listen. But I was just moved by how open-minded he was, considering his faith, and in light of what I know now, incredibly open-minded. Yeah, very lucky.
And I guess that that's almost like a reflection point worth bringing out. Like, if people talk to you like they presume you're against you, you know, like he took the time to listen, and actually hear where you're coming from and speak to what you're actually asking, and those sorts of things, which is really important. Listening is very important.
I was going to say, he mostly listened, I mostly talked, and then he just would not ask questions, but would say things, and I'd have to seriously consider why do I believe that? And it made me think, and by nature I'm a very truth-driven person. Sure. I want to know the truth. It's always been something very important to me, and it was just I guess a way of me finding the real truth.
Yeah, awesome. And so what was it I guess when it came to, you obviously ended up choosing to believe in Jesus. What were a couple of the barriers there, and how did you overcome them? What happened there?
There were a few times where we almost broke up because God was important to him, and he just didn't. He really loved me, but he also didn't want to go against God. And he rang up about the idea of a house being divided, and he's like, I just can't see a future if we're not on the same page. But he was also didn't want to let me go because he really loved me, and I really respected it. I understood it, but it was hard because I'm like, I just didn't understand why it's a problem. Like, you know, you can believe what you want. Let me believe what I want.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I guess you probably understand his perspective even more.
Absolutely. Now. I 120 million% now understand
that's
why that's the case.
Yeah, cool. And so So outside Daniel, who was significant people for you, I guess, in just helping you work this out?
And Sharra.
Yep.
Most probably so Daniel and his family as well, because they're Christian family, and they were so open and welcoming and really loving towards me. Very immediately as I met them, they were just like, "Come in, sit down." I remember them just giving me stuff.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, Daniel gets this free stuff from work. Do you want it? Okay. And Sharra as well was a very big turning point as well.
So yeah, so let's because Sharra is our connection in this story
Yes.
as well. So what happened there? Like how was Sharra helpful, and how did that journey intersect?
Amazingly so. Very, very helpful. I was having a day. There was the day that it was very bad. It was a really, really bad day. I was home from work. I was looking after my kids, and I wasn't supposed to, but I ended up having to. And I was almost about to break up with Daniel because it was just the conflicting viewpoints. It was getting too hard, and I had two options to see two different friends that day. Sharra, I'd made plans with Sharra, and it was ages since I saw her, and I knew I had to see her because I didn't want to be a bad friend. But I didn't think I was going to get there because I didn't know if my kids would be picked up in time, and we were meeting far away. So it just didn't look like I was going to get there, and I was so stressed about my relationship with Daniel that I had another friend who's not a Christian that I was going to see instead, and then out of the blue, I was in my head, I made the decision to see my other friend, and then just God made a way. Now I realize kids could be picked up at the right time. I could meet Sharra and be on time. And I just said to myself, well, I can't not see her. Like, I never see her. Like, I need to make an effort and be a good friend. So I went and saw Sharra. We had an incredible conversation. I think you mostly talked, but not like I was just gobsmacked and I was listening. Like we're just talking about religion. It came up naturally. You were talking about your love for Jesus as per usual when you talk to Sharra. It's generally something she brings up, which is amazing. And I wish I could do that more myself. And yeah, she just asked me questions and they just cut me to the core. And I'm like, I don't know how to answer that. I don't know why I believe the things that I believe. And she's like, I remember distinctly, she said, out of all the religions there, if you could choose one, she's like, which would you choose? And I said, well, I probably would choose Christianity because it aligns more with what I already know is right. Like that, out of all the ones there, like I guess not that we're bound by the 10 Commandments now, but that law is the one that makes sense in terms of the right way to live. And so that just really blew my mind. And then you answered a few other, like, I guess, questions about like science as well that I just didn't think about. And then you just bridged all the gaps. Everything you said was about a barrier that I had to my understanding, and you just cleared it up immediately without even realizing. You had no idea.
Like a pretty amazing conversation.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know that I could answer science questions.
So Sharra, what's your recollection of that conversation?
What was interesting was that she said that this relationship is not going to last because I'm not, I haven't decided on God and Jesus. And so, well, that night I remember very clearly that I hadn't seen you for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you were on my mind, and I just had some spare time, and I said, look, if I have to catch up with anyone in my life right now, it will be Taylor, because I just love her very much, and I haven't seen her for ages. And she's one of those people, like she said to you before, where you meet her and you just pick up from where you met them. So she's not someone we talk about, like, why haven't you called me? There's no such a conversation. So I said, look, I'm going to make a deal and just go and see her. So when we got there, she brought up her new relationship and explained to me what had happened in her old relationship, which was quite, dramatic. And I said, look, why do you think God put you with Daniel? And I said, do you think it was a coincidence that I just called you out of the blue? I had no idea what's going on in your life, but we ended up meeting each other. And she goes, I have a lot of questions. And I said to her that you can ask me anything you like about Jesus, and I will give you any testimony you would like. And tonight, I'm not leaving until I prove to you that Jesus is calling you.
Yeah,
And,
wow.
and you need to respond. You need to
Mm.
respond tonight.
Mm.
And it was very funny because by the time we were finished, like I do remember Taylor was gobsmacked because I mean, Taylor and I talk a lot, and Taylor is talkative just as much as myself, but she was in shock, and I thought, oh God, maybe I scared her. And I was a bit afraid. And when she left my house, we drove towards my house together, and you left from my house. And they're actually down the street from my house, there's a Christian Assyrian family who have a very big cross on the house. Do you remember that? Yeah. And as she was driving, she texted me when she got home. She goes, look, Sharra, I've just had a revelation from God, because as I was driving, not only did I see a cross, but also a song came up on my radio of the first time I met Daniel. And I suppose God is telling me that, you know, this is it. This is the path. You need to choose me. And I can't send you more signals. You've got all the signals. and I suppose, and she just texted me that night, which gobsmacked me. She goes, I see it. I can see it. My mind's blowing. From like I don't know what to do with all of this information. I need to process it. But I realize God is talking to me. Finally, I can understand He is talking to me. And it just, from there, it just fell onto different texts, and her saying, I accept Jesus and I love Him. I'm in love with Jesus. And just the ball started to roll from there. And I just thought, oh, wow. I was just dancing inside, because for years I was hoping for this day, because I was always hoping how much I love, you know, Taylor, and how much I would love for her to find the way God wants us to live our lives. And when she said that, I was kind of like, one tick for you, God. We got her. Yeah, it was funny. It was very unusual. But
it sounds very God orchestrated. Just the way it all.
The crosses weren't the only one. Like, there was a whole multitude of things happening that night that was just like, nah. I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore. I remember distinctly going, God, okay, yep, you're real.
Got it.
I need you to get me home, because I can't stop crying, and I need you to guide me home. And then just like a little light bulb on my way home as I was driving, just to lead me home. Just no thunder, no sound, just to sit. And I love thunderstorms, love nature, especially thunder. Just like going, here you go, all the way home.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Guys, this is just really encouraging. I hope it's as encouraging to the people listening as well. Before we go, I actually thought this might be a really good question. So, so Taylor, like, let's say someone, you talking to yourself 5 years ago, and you tell yourself that you're going to be a church-going, Bible-believing, Jesus-following Christian in 5 years' time. What do you say to that version of you?
Wow.
I would be like, yeah, right. There's a funny story in Daniel's house, and his mum told me this. She's like, I remember overhearing a conversation with you and Daniel saying, I'll never believe in God and Jesus. This isn't for me. And she remembers me saying that, and I'm like, well, I ate my words.
There you go.
Prove me wrong.
Lovely. That's so good. Because I guess, you know, the reason I love these stories getting out is because there would have been Christians who could have come across you, who could have easily put you in the basket of, well, that's someone closed. That's a closed case. That's someone. And one of the things we've just been trying to do at church is to challenge that narrative in people's thinking that actually some people just need an opportunity to go on a journey. It's Jesus who promises us that everywhere we go, there are people who will welcome us, and people of peace. And so I love your story, because even just that whole, I thought Christians were this. I mean, you know, like some people get caught in a real bunker mentality that is really, it's not helpful, and it's not what Jesus told us to expect. So I don't know if you want to have any parting words, but do you want to say anything more?
Well, there's a beautiful line in Isaiah, I don't know word for word, but it always talks about the word of God never being void. So the
Yeah.
gospel always achieves whatever purpose it sets out. So
Yeah.
it's,
Right.
you know, think like people get a bit scared, I guess, to share, like, oh, what if someone thinks that I'm a bit weird or whatever. It will achieve whatever it's supposed to. So
And I suppose even like with the story with Sharra, it's like Sharra was just a faithful friend who was available at the moment God had for you, and that it's part of being that as well. Just even being in relationship with people who don't believe, and praying that God can use you at the right moment, and being aware of those moments. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm just encouraged. So I'd like to just pray for you and your new faith, and also your. Have you got a date you're getting married?
the 5th of December this year.
5th of December. Yes, and I guess there's a whole bunch of options of what that wedding might look like depending on restrictions and.
I'm not concerned. To be honest, I'm not concerned. The wedding's planning itself, it's awesome.
Cool.
Then things just pop up and I go, okay. Yep.
Awesome.
Right.
All right, can I pray for you? And,
Yes.
and then we'll call it a night. Thank you. Dear Lord, we thank you so much that you are always at work. The harvest is plentiful, and there are people of peace everywhere, people who just need an opportunity to know you, to go on a journey. Because your gospel is still powerful. Your love for this world is still powerful. What you did on the cross is still powerful. And we just thank you and praise you that Taylor has come to see that in her life. And we pray a blessing on her and Daniel and their future together, and their kids, that you would go before them and watch over them and just make them a strong witness as a whole family, prepare them for that already. And we just thank you for the time she's given us and the blessing she's being to others as she shares this. We praise you for her friendship with Sharra. We praise you for the way you've used that to also help bring Taylor to yourself. And so we just praise you for tonight. And just thank you for her story that you've written in her life. Amen.
Amen.